Subscribe to this channel right now. Representative Eli Crane, I think, has given a very courageous and noble opinion or viewpoint on what's going on. According to Congressman Crane, in an interview with Benny Johnson on YouTube, Benny Johnson is fantastic. Congressman Crane expressed a viewpoint that maybe there's somebody betraying President Trump within his security apparatus. TMZ, Representative Eli Crane climbs roof where the Trump assailant lost life no longer. Questions Secret Service. C-SPAN, House Republicans Forum on the attempted former President Trump. And then the Independent video. Representative takes to roof of Trump rally to expose Secret Service failings. These are just some articles on the work of Congressman Crane on this topic. First and foremost, I want to make very clear, I want to say God bless the men and women of the Secret Service protecting Donald Trump, and God bless President Trump. Second attempt on his life. This is absolutely the antithesis of democracy, the republic, decency, and it's something that Democrats and everybody should condemn at all times. We'll get to the rhetoric from Democrats and media every single day for the past 7-8 years regarding Trump and how it led to 2 attempts on his life. But I want to say God bless the men and women of the Secret Service. I am not accusing anyone in particular within the Secret Service, especially within the detail of betraying Trump or giving information to very bad actors. What I am saying is that at some point, and to my super chat, thank you, Paul. Thank you so very, very, very much. What I am saying is that it is likely that information is being derived from some place within Trump's security apparatus. It could be a hack of a computer system. It could very well be a human being betraying Trump. It could be a whole lot of things. But there's information on, unfortunately, there's information on his whereabouts. And that should not happen. So I am not singling out anyone in the Secret Service. I use the phrase security apparatus or security team, but it could be somebody in Washington. It could be a politician that doesn't like Trump. It could be, like I said, a hack of a computer system. It could be a worker at one of the golf courses. Somebody is relaying, or something is relaying information. And so that's pretty obvious. And Congressman Crane brought that up. Hit subscribe to this channel. Let's get to what's going on, ladies and gentlemen.
Joining us now is Jonathan Gilliam, former FBI special agent and Navy SEAL. Jonathan, it's great to have you to help us break this down. Obviously, I wish we were discussing a different topic, but I think to myself about the assassination attempt in July where President Trump was actually hit and all the subsequent investigations, some of the details still to be released. And I'm saying to myself, it happened again yesterday. Did anything change with his detail, with the Secret Service, with the FBI? Because, yes, he's a former president, but he's also already had an attack on his life.
Right. And you also had a new Secret Service or acting Secret Service director that came in and said that he was going to change things and fix this problem. This is a problem that could be immediately fixed. You just extend the perimeter and you work with local law enforcement to put cars out there that are monitoring that area. And then before the principal gets there, you do a walk around and make sure that within the trees that you see right here with the fence that's 20 feet away, that you look at that area to see if anybody set up any ceramic ballistic plates or backpacks or any type of sniper hide. I mean, I don't think they did any of this stuff. And this is a location that Trump goes to on a regular basis.
Jonathan, President Biden says that Congress needs to give the Secret Service more money. Listen.
What about aerial footage, drones? What about cameras everywhere Trump goes? And what about a private security service? I mean, Trump should have, in addition to the Secret Service, if it's allowed by law, a private security service. Maybe a private service that is beyond the perimeter of what the Secret Service offers. Again, I'm not accusing anyone within the Secret Service. I'm going to say that a million times. But there's somebody perhaps in Washington, perhaps within those golf courses, perhaps within his own campaign, perhaps a computer hack. There is information being derived. We all know this. Now Trump, his team, is essentially a lot closer. Maybe they've already found, but a lot closer to finding the culprit or the reason why information is being let out. I mean, there's too much information about future President Trump. He's going to win. There's nothing stopping Trump. And you know this second attempt is just a very sad and pathetic and sinister and evil attempt at stopping this man. Because you know what? He's going to win. The polls are nonsense. Nate Silver is actually is right about this, 100% right about this. He'll win, he'll get the Electoral College, and Trump's on his way to winning a second term. And there's a reason why there's so many attempts on this man's life. Maybe the people after Trump, really love inflation. They love high interest rates. They love quagmires and endless wars. Maybe that's the reason. Who knows? Just 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. And it froze. So just 1 sec, ladies and gentlemen. Almost there. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 second. I'm sorry.
President Biden says that Congress needs to give the Secret Service more money. Listen to this.
Do you have any more information on the assassination attempt?
I think thank God, the president's okay. I think we got a full report so far. We're down there tonight. But one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. And I think the Congress should respond to their needs if they, in fact, need more services.
They need more personnel. They need more money. What kind of help do you say?
I think we need some more personnel. I think they're deciding whether they need more personnel or not.
Jonathan, is that your assessment of the main problem, or is it something else?
I think they need to take the investigative portion of the Secret Service, which is money laundering and financial crimes, And they need to give that to the FBI or to ICE, primarily probably to the FBI. And they need to concentrate solely on protection. This is a different world than we live in now than we did before. There is just tremendous threats against all of these individuals that the Secret Service protects. And I think that their day and age of investigating it should be done. If they did that, they would be able to pull all those people off the street and continuously have them on protection details. And then the other thing is just simply modernizing your standard operating procedures. They've gotten so locked into doing these quick details where they go in and they roll back out that they just don't do the work of looking at the facility from the attacker's point of view and asking who, why, when, where, and how an attack could happen, and then defending against that.
Curious, what you think about a private citizen alerting the FBI after the suspect had fled, involved in helping catch him. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, says that he wants to conduct his own investigation into this. What do you make of more of these maybe private actors outside the Secret Service, outside the FBI, taking a bigger role and participating?
I think first of all, the individual who saw the vehicle, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That could have been a law enforcement and should have been a law enforcement officer that caught that individual. Why do we have to rely on a civilian on a public sidewalk when you have a shooter right there? I don't understand why law enforcement isn't doing that. From the other circumstance of other agencies investigating this, I am completely comfortable with that, especially in the Miami area or this area down in Florida that falls under the Miami field office, because we know that the SAC there is an avid leftist who hates Trump and had to scrub his internet because he had things all over the internet. So I think this shows, and what's occurring here, and I'd like to see DeSantis push this further, not for political reasons, but to get some of this investigation away from the FBI. And then the last thing I'll say about that is I'd like to see the Secret Service investigated, because it's their fault that these fatal funnels are existing. And that is either from pure incompetence or nefarious reasons. And I don't know which one it is at this point. And I think that needs to be investigated from an outside source.
All right. So hopefully the video will continue after I give my 2 cents. But I agree with this gentleman 100%. And there needs to be a lot of investigations. The problem, however, is that President Trump, when he becomes president, he'll become president. He needs to start numerous special counsels, and not just special counsels like the one during Biden's administration, okay, where the Durham probe, for example, that they were able to circumvent the Durham probe through bureaucratic means. He needs a special counsel, like 3 or 4 of them, even before he gets to the attempts on his life, because that should be that should be his intel chiefs explaining what took place. Their assessment. There should already be intelligence briefs on how information got to the madman in Pennsylvania and the madman now in Florida. So, I mean, yeah, there should be investigations there, but he needs to start numerous special counsels, and we can go into the special counsels later. You pretty much know what he needs to investigate. If you watch this channel, you watch other channels, but there's so much corruption. And there's so much collusion, not just corruption, but collusion between media and the Democratic Party and other parts of the government. But anyway, that's not even the special counsel I'm referring to, but let's continue.
I want to go back to the money angle because this is a money show, but even every political story has it. When you think about President Biden talking about more personnel for the Secret Service, at the end of the day, to have more personnel, you need money to be able to pay them. We are a rich country. But we give billions and billions of dollars away in foreign aid. And we also have recklessly spent over the last 3.5 years trillions of dollars here at home on programs that arguably we don't need. It's not like we don't have the money. It's the allocation of the resources.
So you look at the madman on the left. This is the look of somebody that wants to portray this kind of stoic, pseudo noble vision. He's trying to save the planet. This madman to the left understands public relations. He understands that the photo of that kind of, it's this. He's trying to portray, even though the person is obviously evil, committing evil, and indoctrinated beyond belief, but he's trying to portray this confidence, this serenity, this confidence in some kind of noble goal of, taking someone's life. That's the epitome of evil. When you think that you're doing something noble and just and good, and yet you're committing evil, and there's nothing good about it. There's only like something sinister and disgusting and nefarious. But that look that this madman has on the left, that's a public relations ploy. He thought about that almost certainly before he was arrested. He practiced that kind of look and thought about how many hundreds and hundreds of media outlets will be showing that kind of demeanor. But we need special counsels into everything from Hunter's laptop to a whole bunch of things. And that's not me talking. That's President Trump. President Trump is already preparing special counsels almost certainly, which is why perhaps there's an emphasis on ending this poor man's life. I should never say poor man with Trump. And God bless him. His strength is beyond money. Trump is, again, this madman on the left, he probably doesn't understand we had record low poverty with Trump. So, like, what does he show calm and confident and comfortable in what he's like trying to do? This madman is literally trying to take the life of a person who Trump presided over record low poverty, record highs in household median income. We had the first president to step foot in North Korea. We had the first president in 20 years, well, the only president to remove Americans from numerous regions of the world, Syria, Afghanistan. And Biden reluctantly did that because he was forced to by Trump. And it was a May 1st withdrawal, and he withdrew in a haphazard manner. But I mean, there's so many special counsels. A special counsel is needed into the lawfare against Trump. The obvious coordination between Democrats in states and the Biden administration. The obvious overt coordination to interfere. And these are the same people that talk about democracy and the republic and principles and decency, and look what they've done. Anyway, let's continue.
Says Jonathan.
Right. And you also have a Secret Service that has to look for parking for hours in front of the White House. They don't have a locker room in the White House. I mean, you have an agency that's just kind of thrown in there. Secret Service agents have to pay for their own meals on Air Force One. So you see the ridiculousness of this. Now, if this was a financial company and they were running on all cylinders and they had everybody working in there doing exactly what they need to do, they wouldn't have to hire more people. And that's the way it is with the Secret Service. If they were treated like a professional agency, if they were hiring the right people and they were solely concentrated on protection and doing that job, they wouldn't have to hire any more people or spend our taxpayer dollars on this.
Athletes everywhere.
Topic of the hour, body cam footage shows the moment Ryan Ruth was arrested on a Florida highway after opening fire at President Trump's West Palm Beach golf course. Ruth was spotted by a witness after taking off down I-95, where he was promptly taken into custody. He was charged with 2 federal gun charges in court yesterday. Cops said that he camped outside the golf course for up to 12 hours before the former president actually showed up and reportedly exploited a security breach around the course's perimeter, something that the New York Post says the Secret Service has known about for years. Authorities questioned if he acted alone.
Did he act alone? Did he have some kind of help?
At this point, we're still exploring that, investigating that. Our investigation will determine that.
How do you not know? This is the greatest country in the world. How does the government not know if he acted alone? This is so bizarre. I mean, how many billions upon billions of dollars? Actually, the intel agency budgets are, I don't believe they're known in terms of the exact amount. It's 30 billion just for the top 3 that said that Trump was, potentially a Kremlin operative. I think the NSA, Central Intelligence, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I think combined is a $30 billion budget, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But we don't know. Really? No, there's no way you can find out. We don't know yet. It's been about 2 days now.
We do not have information that he's been acting with anyone else at present.
Meanwhile, President Biden says that he spoke to his predecessor, President Trump, about the shooting and said that when asked what's next for the Secret Service, he said this.
Do you have any more information on the assassination attempt?
I think thank God the president's okay. I think we got a full report so far. We're down there tonight. But one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. And I think the Congress should respond to their needs if they, in fact, need more services.
Congress will now consider boosting funding for the Secret Service.
It was Democrats that wanted to remove Trump's security detail. It was Democrats that did not allow RFK Jr. after his father and his uncle, JFK and RFK, their lives were taken by madmen and other possible issues associated with those individuals. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it algorithmically friendly. But RFK Jr. has talked about the loss of his father, the loss of his uncle, JFK, RFK, and Democrats denied RFK Jr. Secret Service. That should tell you where the country is. Trump is so polarizing. Nobody is more polarizing than media, which is an extension of the Democratic Party and today's Democratic Party. Just ask yourself, do you know anybody who's disowned you or doesn't want to talk to you anymore because you support Trump? Do you act in that manner? No. The people who are polarizing are those who are indoctrinated so severely that they disown friends and family because a person is supporting Trump. Trump supporters know people who here and there are voting Biden or Harris, sorry. They don't care. Harris, like people who are supporting or voting for Harris generally don't know many, like most liberal Democrats don't know many supporters of Trump. They don't want to surround them. They can't deal with a different viewpoint. And furthermore, they can't deal with losing an argument. So they just can't. They worship at the altar of CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Atlantic, and they think it's reality. But the reality is Trump's going to win again. So,
which both parties say could include attaching emergency funding to the bill averting a government shutdown on September 30th. Joining me now is former FBI special agent, Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. Nicole, great to see you this morning. What's your reaction to all of this?
Well, first of all, I have many thoughts. I was watching that press conference that occurred yesterday, and, I would like to express my appreciation for law enforcement getting in there quickly and, beginning this investigation. Obviously, the FBI is taking the lead in the investigation. They are conducting search warrants of the vehicles, the electronic devices, social media posts. They are reviewing what we call CAST, our cellular analysis service team, which investigates the pings. Where was this individual at and what hours? It was determined that he had been outside of that golf course in that vicinity since about 1:30 in the morning, Sunday morning. How did he get there? He's just camping out and waiting for President Trump to arrive and golf? How did he know that President Trump was going to be golfing there? We know that was what, the Secret Service Director, acting Secret Service Director said was an off-record movement. So very few people knew that was even going to be occurring. But I think one thing that I'd like to bring to your attention, Maria, as a former FBI agent, is that when these incidents occur, there seems to be a pattern that the FBI did have note of who this individual was prior to, these incidents occurring. And I would like to take a moment and read exactly what the SAC of FBI Miami did say in that press conference, because I think it's important for viewers to understand. Sure. He said, quote, "He was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged that he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu." Close quote. So here we are again. There's another awful incident that occurred. Thankfully, President Trump is alive. But this was actually on the FBI's radar back in 2019. And, the SAC of FBI Miami kind of slipped it in at the end of his portion of the press conference. Oh, by the way, this happened. And again, I would just like to make sure that the FBI is following up on those tips. And I would like them to look into that again. Was it really exhausted? Were all resources exhausted to make sure that they could not charge this individual back then? Because what's happening is he's being charged, was just charged yesterday, with probably the exact same crime that he would have been charged with if he had been charged back in 2019 when there was a tip that said that there was a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. Why was he not charged back in 2019? They're saying the complainant couldn't verify the information. I would want to make.
And here's an article in the Washington Times. The official leading the Trump the probe regarding the attempt on Trump's life, accused of anti-Trump bias. I mean, it's unbelievable. The senior bureau official leading, this is the Washington Times, the senior bureau official leading the investigation in Florida, the attempted former President Trump, expressed rabid, we'll use the word dislike, of Mr. Trump and retaliated against bureau personnel who supported the former president, according to a whistleblower. So, I mean, this is what we're dealing with as a country. Democrats have gotten loyalists not by paying anybody. That's not the way it works. The most powerful positions in the country happen to be held by people who despise Trump. That's it. They despise Trump. And they just don't like Trump. Now, it's not anyone's fault in particular that this happened. I'm not accusing that agent of anything. What I'm saying is if that's true, it's a Washington Times article. It correlates directly to the attempt at accusing Trump of being a Kremlin operative, where agents were saying we have to stop him. We'll stop Trump. I mean, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, there's a short on this channel stating numerous agents showed serious overt animus towards Trump. The highest law enforcement officials from the Honorable James Comey, very likely he didn't like Trump, to President Obama's intel chiefs, very likely they didn't like Trump. I mean, you have people who are who are in positions of great power who despise Donald Trump. That's the problem. That kind of cultural, that shift in terms of culture, it must change. You cannot have a social media account if you're a government official. I'm sorry. You should not be allowed to have a social media account disparaging any politician, especially if you're working or trying to protect those politicians. But let's continue.
Make sure that they drilled down and did everything that they could before they handed that off to local law enforcement.
Well, I mean, these are all obvious and important questions, Nicole, and where are the answers? There are real concerns arising about this FBI lead agent in the Miami field office tasked with investigating this second assassination attempt, Nicole. And yesterday, when Governor DeSantis in Florida said he's doing his own investigation, a lot of people on X and on social media were telling him, look, don't give this up to the FBI. Don't share your information with the FBI. They're worried that we're not getting the truth from the FBI. You work there, Nicole. What can you tell us?
Maria, I can tell you that I understand Americans' concerns. Okay, I've said it over and over on your program, and I will always stand by the truth. There are amazing special agents at the FBI who are working tirelessly and want no involvement in politics. But the problem comes in when you have positions and people in high leadership positions who come in and use their, law enforcement powers to push their political agendas, or frankly, to let their own political views inhibit their ability to do unbiased investigations. Yeah. And what's happened is this SAC of Miami, who is a special agent in charge of the Miami division, had whistleblowers come forward and say, this is what occurred. And over, there's been a pattern of this particular SAC not exactly being a supporter of Trump, which is completely fine. He doesn't need to be a supporter of Trump, but you cannot be anti-Trump and be in a position of authority. And why would Christopher Wray promote someone to be in charge of the Miami division who has any question that they may have had a problem with Trump in the past or his views? Right. Now you're in charge of the AOR that oversees President Trump, and now you're in charge of an investigation. This is why Americans don't trust the FBI, and it's very, very unfortunate.
And it's very difficult to trust the FBI after what we've witnessed. Hillary Clinton is out yesterday talking about how dangerous President Trump is. And of course, she started all of this back in 2015, 2016 with her Steele dossier and the Russia collusion lie, which the FBI pursued, and the story went viral. Here's Hillary yesterday. Watch this. It's quite rich.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. We can't go back and give this very dangerous man another chance to do.
We had record low poverty. What is dangerous about record low poverty? We had low interest rates, low inflation. You have to be a low information person regarding politics to even believe any of this. That he's dangerous, Trump. What is he? The only problem Trump has with anything is with inflation, high interest rates, unemployment. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea. He brought Americans home from Syria and Afghanistan, and Biden reluctantly did that. Was forced to do that during his tenure, and that was a May 1st withdrawal during the Doha Agreement. It wasn't a haphazard summer withdrawal where 13 Americans lost their lives. Trump didn't have servers with top secret intel on them and delete 30,000 emails. Clinton never even had a government email, for goodness sake. Could you imagine if Trump had private servers? Can you imagine what the Atlantic and the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC would say that he was writing? They'd probably accuse Trump of writing love letters to Vladimir and then deleting the more salacious ones.
Do harm to our country and the world.
Let's be clear. The only person that Trump is dangerous to is Hillary Clinton, because Trump knows what Hillary Clinton did in terms of coming up with this massive lie that he colluded with Russia, where the FBI and the CIA drove the story forward. It doesn't look like the FBI has changed very much since those days, Nicole.
Well, and again, I was an agent under, President Obama, under President Trump, and under President Biden. And I can tell you that when President Trump came into office, he did not instruct us to go after any of his political opponents. In fact, Hillary Clinton was never charged under President Trump's time. He did not come in and say, you know what, we're going to go back and charge her for using a personal server to send classified information. That did not happen. And so I think the problem lies in that in this administration under Biden, they come in and immediately it's like, okay, you know what, we're going to charge this. And it just seems that they're going after President Trump and those that support him.
And Trump has to engage in reciprocal behavior. That's all. I mean, if they're doing it to him, then he should go and indict if people actually committed crimes. Is it a crime to own private servers? Is it a crime to own a laptop with bribery and graft? Is it a crime to begin a Red Scare conflict or to accuse Trump of being a Kremlin operative without a shred of evidence? These are all crimes. The 18 U.S. Code 371 statute could be leveled at everybody who lied about Trump being a Kremlin operative.
And it's just not right.
Well, it's not only not right, it's quite dangerous as we see the effects of it. Nicole, we'll keep following it, and we appreciate your insight. Thank you.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity
$1 billion service for the current fiscal year, which was $265 million less than fiscal year 2023. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Mark Alford. He's a member of the House Armed Services, Small Business, and Agriculture Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. Would you vote for additional funding for the Secret Service?
Look, Maria, I firmly believe we don't need to throw more money at the Secret Service. We need new leadership. I do believe that the Secret Service needs to be moved from Homeland Security, which has become really a political tool, I think, of this administration when you consider the biggest liar since Pinocchio is running Homeland Security, Mayorkas, right now. It needs to go back to Treasury. Chairman of the Small Business Committee, whom you know, Roger Williams, proposed this last year. Trump proposed it in his 2021 budget. It makes more sense under Treasury. We need a change of approach, tighten up the leadership, and protect our past and future presidents.
Look, you make very important points. I'll tell you right now, the people are sick and tired of the failure of accountability of Alejandro Mayorkas, okay? Mayorkas was in charge and is in charge of a wide open border where 10 million illegals have come in. Many of them are not vetted at all. We've got 2 million gotaways. We've got massive, dangerous Venezuelan gangs running around America. And
well, look, Maria, we impeached in the House Alejandro Mayorkas. The problem is Schumer and his Senate shenanigans. No one over there wants to do anything. They don't want to rein in Homeland Security. Mayorkas said from the very beginning there was no chaos at the border. We know there was chaos at the border. He tried to tell us that border agents were using whips on people. We know those weren't whips. I've ridden a horse for many years. That was a rein. But he never admits his mistake. He comes to Congress in his really arrogant tone and denies the truth and outright lies. It's time.
That's another special counsel that needs to be created by Trump regarding everything that took place at what used to be decades ago a border. So, I mean, there needs to be like major overhaul. If Trump does not act in a reciprocal manner, I don't know what happens to the country.
Time for him to go. Schumer won't do anything about it, but he won't do anything. We passed the H.R. 2, the Homeland Security bill. We sent it over there more than a year ago. They won't do anything.
I understand, but can you just keep saying he won't do anything about it? Is that it? I mean, the last time I checked, lying to Congress was a felony. You're telling me the chairman of Homeland Security, the director of Homeland Security, in charge of all of this stuff, the open border, Secret Service failures, et cetera, has come in front of your committees, has come in front of Congress and lied. Isn't that a felony? What are you doing about it?
It is. Well, when you have a Justice Department who is not going to go after justice in America and have a one-sided two-tier system of justice against President Trump and for this administration, I don't want to say our hands are tied, but we're running out of options. We have done our part. We have impeached Mayorkas. We have gone through regular order to do that. We have laid out the facts. We've got to get new leadership in the Senate. And Maria, this is why, this election is the most consequential for the course of our nation that I have ever seen, not just for the White House, but increasing our majority in the U.S. House so we can actually get something done.
So
and winning back the Senate.
Who's overseeing the DOJ? Who's overseeing the DOJ?
Merrick Garland. That's why he needs to get like Rudy Giuliani as Attorney General or somebody. Or the MyPillow CEO, somebody. He needs to get the equivalent of Merrick Garland. The Trump Republican equivalent of Merrick Garland is the MyPillow CEO or Rudy Giuliani. Now, to Democrats hearing that, oh my God, Merrick Garland, he was supposed to be Supreme Court Justice. He's more, respected than the people you mentioned. It's like, yeah, he's a good, loyal Democrat. Thank God we have different justices than this man. Merrick Garland, contempt of Congress? Wasn't he held recently in contempt for withholding transcripts of Biden's special counsel debacle, where the special counsel didn't indict Biden because of cognitive issues? And I have to tell you, ever since Biden put on the "Make America Great Again" hat, I'm like, you know what? I respected him more with that than anything he's done in 4 years, which has been an abysmal failure. But let's continue.
Well, you have Attorney General who wanted to be a Supreme Court justice who was denied that opportunity, and I think rightfully so, by Mitch McConnell and those who did not see him as a fit member of the U.S. Supreme Court. So there are a lot of sour grapes and anger in this administration, and it's taking its toll on the American people.
It sure is. We're going to be watching all of this, and it's just outrageous that you've got an individual leading at the top of this here pyramid, Alejandro Mayorkas, overseeing the wide open border that is impacting Americans left and right, and the Secret Service, which almost killed President Trump. These incidents almost killed President Trump and the Secret Service failures around them. And here's the guy overseeing it, and he's still just coming into Congress, as you're saying, lying about it. Well, we're going to have to keep the spotlight on Alejandro Mayorkas. I don't know where this is going, but this is just outrageous.
I'm tired of their games,
I do want to ask you
Maria.
about economics and agriculture, sir, while I have you. Experts are weighing just how different the economy and small business would look like under Trump versus Harris. So let's go through that. Trump is proposing no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and his latest proposal, no tax on overtime. He's promising workers who clock more than 40 hours a week tax-free overtime income, which sounds to me like a good plan because you're really targeting the people who are the hardest working in our country. They're working more than 40 hours. Trump is focusing on lowering taxes and creating business-friendly practices overall. But Harris is proposing a $50,000 tax deduction for small business startups. That's a huge jump from the current $5,000 deduction. Harris says she wants the government to receive 25 million small business applications by.
And what about inflation and high interest rates? That's not going to address inflation or high interest, but that's actually pretty good. The $50,000 in tax in deductions, but what about the high interest rates that Democrats caused? We didn't have these interest rates before Trump. I mean, when Trump left, we didn't have the inflation before Trump. After Trump left, I mean, before Biden took over.
By 2025. Compare these two plans, and is this small business idea of lifting that to $50,000 not going to move the needle on anything? How do you get this economy out of where we are? Because we all know that if the Fed is considering a 50 basis point cut, we're in big trouble in terms of an economic slowdown. We know that.
We are, because you're exactly right, Maria. And this comes down to a shift in ideology or contrast in ideology. The Democrats and Harris want to give away everything. Look, I'm all for starting small businesses. I'm on the Small Business Committee. Small business is the fabric of America. This is not the way to go about it. It's to actually get the SBA out and doing their jobs in our districts, helping rural businesses in my district start new businesses and maintain them. Trump wants to give money back that the federal government has been holding on to. And these ideas that he's proposing, no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, they are going to cost money. The latest proposal, I think, is $25 billion a year, the estimate that I looked at. But we can find that money. The most important thing, as you know, Maria, is renewing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. If we don't do that under the leadership of
And by the way, they never repealed the Trump tax cuts. They complained about it. They never repealed Trump's tariffs. They complain about everything, and they keep they keep Trump's ideas and they complain about them.
Of national security persisting this morning after Sunday marked the second assassination attempt on former President Trump in 10 weeks. The 45th president facing domestic and international threats to his life. Just yesterday, a Pakistani national with alleged ties to Iran pled not guilty to plotting a murder for hire against U.S. politicians here on U.S. soil. Senator Chuck Grassley released FBI records showing Iranian-backed actors seeking to assassinate the former president and other American political figures in retaliation of the killings of Qasem Soleimani.
The fact that there's two legitimate attempts to assassinate the former president and a nation state has posed a credible threat against that president. I think the fact that an assailant was able to get within hundreds of meters of the president twice, once obviously successfully shooting him, and the second time credit the Secret Service with their surveillance and a quick response. But it begs the question, how could somebody even get that close to the president once again? What is the level of protection this president has? I mean, obviously you have to adjust to the situation President Trump is facing. There has been three threats against him, the nation state and two others, and they have to adjust to that reality. And whatever it takes to protect this president has to be done. Certainly, you would expect the level of protection to be something similar to the serving president of the United States. And look, a golf course is a tough place to secure. They're all very large, obviously, in landscape. But President has been playing golf since Eisenhower. I suspect the Secret Service has figured out how to do this. So this review is important to determine the level of protection. I think we know what's going to happen. The Secret Service is going to say, we don't have enough resources. Well, we got to fix this problem and fix it quickly to make certain we're providing the protection that's necessary.
Yeah, I think this is a really important point that you're making, General, because, yesterday we heard from the Secret Service officials, and they said, well, the whole golf course was not protected because he's not a sitting president. He's a former president. Well, you would think that that's not the way you set levels of protection. You set levels of protection based on the level of the threat. And clearly the threat is much more than former presidents elsewhere. The threat is real and the threat has risen. So you would think that that's how the Secret Service wants to set the level of protection, based on the level of the threat. But they're saying, well, he wasn't a sitting president. But I want to get your take on an even bigger issue here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. There's probably a lot of searching and investigating now on how this information is being obtained by, we'll just say, bad actors. Your guess is as good as mine. Hit subscribe, people. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. What do people have with low inflation and low interest rates? My God, what did Trump do to these people? What was so traumatizing about a great economy and a wonderful foreign policy? Oh, that's right. They weren't in power, so it's apoplectic, hysterical indignation as always. Democrats love government. You must revere government when they're in office. And then with Trump, it's a resistance 5.0. And the unbelievably hysterical and apoplectic meltdown from media, my God, every single day. And we had a great economy. We had record low poverty with low interest rates, low inflation. You could buy a mortgage, a home mortgage for less than 3%. Now it's 7% for a home mortgage. You get a home mortgage for, you could have gotten a home mortgage for less than half of what the rates are now. What did this man do? Oh, that's right. The sensibilities of the morally superior were ruffled. So everyone must suffer. Anyway, hit subscribe, people. See you tomorrow, everybody. Trump's on his way to winning, and nothing's stopping Trump. Those polls showing Harris up 2 points nationally, based on what? The wonderful primary that she won? Oh, that's right. There was no primary that she won. Anyway, hit